The moment Daniel opened his eyes, the world didn't make sense. His living room, still dim with early morning light, felt unfamiliar, as if someone had rearranged the air itself. He blinked hard, expecting the quiet chaos of toys, the smell of yesterday's cereal, and the soft breathing of his 6-year-old daughter asleep in the next room. But instead, he saw a woman, standing barefoot in his kitchen, wearing his oversized shirt, holding a steaming cup of coffee as if she belonged there. Her blonde hair fell loosely down her shoulders, her calm expression a stark contrast to the storm exploding inside him. She was the last person he ever expected to see in his home, the CEO of the company where he worked night shifts as a janitor. And before he could gather a single coherent thought, she looked at him with gentle eyes and whispered words that turned his entire world silent. "Please, don't be afraid. I needed to thank you. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments that change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness. Your support truly keeps these stories alive." Daniel's heart drummed as flashes of the previous night returned in fragments. The rainstorm, the dark road, the expensive car that had skidded, spiraled, and crashed near the old bridge. He had been driving home after his shift, exhausted, his uniform soaked with rain as he stepped out to help. And then he saw her, shaken, bleeding from a cut near her forehead, struggling to breathe. He didn't know who she was then. He only knew she needed help. So he carried her into his car, rushed her home because the storm had blocked all the routes to the hospital, and stayed awake all night to make sure she was safe. But seeing her in his shirt in his kitchen reminded him painfully of everything he tried to avoid: complications, attention, and especially anything that might affect his daughter. Life had already taken too much from him. His wife's sudden passing 3 years ago had left him with grief that clung to his bones, and a daughter who asked at night why mommy wasn't coming back. Daniel didn't have room for chaos, and certainly not for powerful, wealthy strangers appearing in his living room at sunrise. Yet she stood there, calm, warm, grateful, and he felt something strange in the quiet of that morning, as if his tired life had come to a stop and fate waited patiently for him to breathe. The woman, whose name was Claire, placed the cup on the counter and told him she remembered everything: how he had wrapped his jacket around her, how he had talked to her gently to keep her awake, how he had stayed beside her like someone who refused to let fear win. She explained that she had been driving alone after a stressful week, forcing herself to keep going, not realizing how dangerously exhausted she was. And then she said something Daniel never expected a CEO to admit. She had been on the edge, overwhelmed by loneliness and pressure. She said that if he hadn't stopped, if he hadn't cared, she wasn't sure she would be alive. Her words pierced deeper than she knew. Daniel had always believed he wasn't doing enough, that he wasn't enough. He worked nights, slept little, and constantly worried about bills. His daughter, Lily, deserved more than a father who lived paycheck to paycheck, but he had no choice but to try. And now this powerful woman stood before him, wearing his shirt, telling him that he had saved her life. It felt unreal, like a moment that didn't belong to someone like him. As Lily woke and wandered sleepily into the living room, Daniel felt panic rise. He didn't want his daughter confused or frightened. But to his surprise, Claire immediately knelt down, talking to Lily with a gentleness that softened even the dim morning light. Lily, curious and honest, asked if Claire was an angel because she looked too pretty to be a normal person. Claire laughed softly, a sound warm enough to fill the whole apartment, and Daniel noticed the exhaustion that once weighed her down seemed to lift. The rest of the morning unfolded slowly, delicately, like a fragile gift. Claire insisted on helping prepare breakfast, awkwardly flipping pancakes while Lily giggled and corrected her. Daniel watched from the side, unsure what to do with the unfamiliar sight of his kitchen alive with laughter. He hadn't realized how long it had been since real joy had filled his home. Grief, responsibility, and fatigue had drowned out the simpler, softer moments of life. When the rain finally stopped, Claire said she needed to return to her world: meetings, decisions, responsibilities, but she hesitated. She admitted she didn't want to leave without knowing how she could repay him. Daniel shook his head. He didn't want anything. He didn't help her for reward or advantage. He just did what he hoped someone would do for his daughter if she ever needed help. But Claire wasn't convinced. She left with gratitude in her eyes, promising she'd find a way to stay connected. Daniel didn't expect anything to come from that moment. People from Claire's world didn't stay in the lives of people like him. That was just reality. Yet days later, he was called to the CEO's office, her office. He thought he was in trouble. Instead, he found Claire waiting with a soft smile and tired but determined eyes. She told him she had been thinking about him, about his kindness, about how the world needed more people like him. She explained that after the accident, she reevaluated everything, her priorities, her goals, her life. And she wanted to give him something he hadn't been given in years, a chance. She offered him a new position, one that matched his skills, paid better, and allowed him more time with his daughter. She said she believed he deserved opportunities, not because she owed him, but because someone had to finally see the potential he had been burying just to survive. Daniel felt overwhelmed, unsure if he deserved this, but she looked at him with sincerity that shook him to the core. She said he had saved her life not with strength, but with kindness, and kindness deserved to be honored. And then she said the words that left him frozen once again, the words that would change everything. "You reminded me that there are still good people in this world. Let me be one for you too." As weeks turned into months, Claire became a presence in Daniel's life, steady, genuine, and unexpectedly comforting. She visited Lily often, helped with school projects, shared laughter in the kitchen where she once stood wearing his shirt. Their worlds, once so different, slowly began to intertwine. Daniel found himself smiling more, worrying less. Claire discovered a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. And though neither said the word out loud, something warm and quiet began growing between them, something fragile yet undeniably real. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps these emotional stories reach others who may need them. Before the ending, please comment below. Kindness changes everything. In the end, Daniel realized that sometimes the most life-changing moments happen in the quiet hours before sunrise, when two wounded souls cross paths by accident or fate and remind each other that hope can return, love can grow again, and even the most unexpected encounter can rewrite a life forever.